childhood schizophrenia.
The mental deficiency, disability, childhood schizophrenia, unusual awkwardness,
peculiar relationship to animals,
disturbance in childhood, mentally defective, childhood schizophrenia, retarded development and all.
In 1911, Eugen Bleuler first used the term autism to describe symptoms of schizophrenia in children. In an attempt to treat these apparent disturbances, the 1920s saw the use of electroconvulsive therapy to treat symptoms of autism. Additionally, dietary restrictions emerged as a favored form of autism treatment. Leo Kanner first characterized autism as a social-emotional disorder in 1943, but the disease would remain highly misunderstood for decades. In the 1950s, Bruno Bettelheim coined the refrigerator mother theory, claiming that people of autism were victims of not being loved enough by their mothers. Tragically, thousands of children with autism were removed from their parents for extended periods of time as a form of treatment. By the 1970s, shock therapy and aversive punishment were the mainstream autism treatment approach, along with institutionalization.
Prior to the mid-20th century, the medical community did not know how to treat people who displayed autistic behaviors. Schools believed educating them was impossible, and insurance companies refused to provide coverage.
Historically, going back, individuals with autism could be placed in an institution.
People with autism were routinely misdiagnosed as schizophrenic or victims of not being loved enough by their mothers. According to The Story of Autism by authors John Donvan and Karen Zucker, diagnoses handed out to others included idiot, imbecile, and feeble-minded. A significant lack of understanding created insurmountable barriers to treatment, education, and insurance coverage. Consequently, the condition was stigmatized by society and stereotypes developed.
That you're not smart, that you don't understand what people are saying, that you're not engaged in the world around you, that you don't have things to offer.
On August 29, 1947, Temple Grandin was born in Boston, Massachusetts, to parents Eustacia Cutler and Richard Grandin. Doctors told Grandin's mother that lifelong institutionalization was the best option to treat Grandin's brain damage. The brain damage doctors referred to is diagnosed today as autism spectrum disorder.
Grandin's mother rejected institutionalization and instead invested resources in speech therapy. Grandin spoke at age 4 and attended regular kindergarten. Her teachers experienced frustration with Grandin's autistic behaviors. In fact, Grandin was expelled from public school at age 14 after throwing a book at a schoolmate. Later, she enrolled in Hampshire Country High School.
Where I had problems with high school and bullying. High school was the worst part of my life.
Although Grandin's autism manifested itself through social deficits, the condition enabled her to think visually, which became an invaluable cognitive strength. Grandin's mother and her high school science teacher, Dr. Carlock, nurtured this ability. At age 15, her mother sent Grandin to her aunt's farm to develop her passion for animals. It was in this environment that Grandin developed a deep connection with cattle.
Following her undergraduate education, Grandin earned a master's degree in animal science at Arizona State University in 1975. While there, Grandin worked in the cattle industry, which turned into a life-changing experience.
Well, it was nowhere near as bad as what I imagined it to be.
Throughout the 1970s and 80s, the fast food industry flourished. Slaughterhouses fulfilled the demand for meat by selling inexpensive meat products to fast food franchises. Slaughterhouses cared less about the ethical treatment of animals and more about increasing production. Animals were subjected to an array of violent treatment, not to mention the terrifying sights and sounds of the slaughterhouse.
Horrified, Grandin made it her mission to design humane animal handling facilities that eliminated pain and fear from the slaughter process. Her keen ability to think in pictures, enhanced by her autism, enabled her to determine what was scaring the animals, something no one in the industry had ventured to explore. This unique ability to empathize with the animals' experiences propelled Grandin to make innovative changes to slaughterhouse equipment. Once viewed as a tremendous weakness, Grandin's autism evolved into her greatest strength.
After spending considerable time observing the behaviors of cattle, Grandin utilized her visual thinking and advanced design skills to invent the curved cattle chute in 1985, which is used to safely transport livestock. She also designed the Stairway to Heaven, a system that gently lifts cattle and leads them to the stun boxes. Both designs alleviate the stress cattle experience in a slaughterhouse.
According to Grandin, animal cognition has similarities to autism cognition. Animals are very aware of small sensory details in the environment. People in the autism spectrum excel at work involving details. These cognitive similarities were critical to Temple Grandin's work in the cattle industry. Today, half of the cattle population in America are housed in facilities that incorporate Grandin's designs.
Grandin's revolutionary work in the cattle industry elevated her name to the forefront of the autistic community. In the mid-1980s, at the request of the founder of the Autism Society of America, she spoke publicly about autism, becoming the first person with the condition to do so. Grandin continued her speaking engagements throughout the country, talking to people afflicted with autism and their families. Her advice helped thousands of parents and family members better support their loved ones with autism. In 1988, she joined the board of the Autism Society of America as the first person with autism to serve.
Grandin gained national acclaim after the novel An Anthropologist on Mars by Oliver Sacks was published in 1995, which featured Grandin's accomplishments. This led Grandin to travel the nation, expressing her ideas about autism from her unique viewpoint in an unprecedented show of advocacy. John Donovan, co-author of The Story of Autism, remarked, "She made it possible for the general public to admire a person with autism, rather than ignore, shun, or pity that person."
In addition to speaking publicly, Temple Grandin shared her insights with the public by authoring several books, which demystified the mysteries surrounding autism. Her books served as a lifeline for individuals like Jerson Sains, who struggled to support her autistic son. Inspired, Sains later co-founded the Autism Coalition for Research and Education.
Grandin has been a prominent voice in advocating for the education of autistic children, greatly enhancing nationwide teaching strategies for autistic students and improving available educational services.
The little kids were doing a much better job.
Grandin's work inspired new initiatives to integrate people with autism into the workforce. Dr. Lawrence Fung is in charge of the Stanford Neurodiversity Project, whose goal is maximizing the potential of neurodiversity. He states, "Temple Grandin is one of the most powerful self-advocates. She has inspired many people, me as well." Grandin's message that people with autism excel at work involving details has led to programs designed to hire people with autism by technology companies such as SAP to debug computer programs. This workplace integration has expanded to wider acceptance and recognition in society.
I want to see the kids that are different get out there and be successful. Do something constructive that in some way makes the world a better place.
Until the late 20th century, the medical community continued to misdiagnose people with autism, and health insurance coverage ranged from limited to non-existent. Temple Grandin greatly impacted how autism is viewed medically. Since 2017, 46 U.S. states have passed laws mandating insurance companies to provide coverage for autism treatment. These laws have increased access to medical care, creating a healthier lifestyle for people with autism.
When Benjamin was little, we couldn't even get insurance coverage for speech therapy because at the time it was a diagnosis that was classified as a psychiatric problem. Nowadays, the whole classification has completely changed, and so most people can get quite a bit of insurance coverage.
Temple Grandin's groundbreaking work in the cattle industry serves as proof that the unique talents of all kinds of people are needed by society. Grandin's efforts have eradicated the stereotypes that those with autism should be institutionalized and are incapable of adding value to society. Through numerous advocacy efforts, Grandin broke and continues to break down the stigma and barriers to acceptance for people who simply see the world through a different lens.